Return to Glory podcast. Hunter Zarbanicki, Austin Rose, Dakota Freetag, Northwestern week. We're 5-2, coming off a loss, an embarrassing loss. How will we respond? That's all I got for today.
Wow, look at that in-depth analysis. What are we gonna do this week? Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Actually prepare for Northwestern, maybe?
I would hope
Allegedly.
so. Dak, I would really hope so.
You know what every fan of a
Maybe
team
that's a
wants to
start.
hear? Players only meeting. That's how you know the season's going exactly the way as planned.
Yep, that's you know that never happens with teams that are on like a hot streak. That's only when it's about rock bottom.
I still can't get over, and a lot of Husker fans and probably the coaches and players as well just can't get over what happened in that Minnesota game. It does. It just feels like the whole season, like you would talk about falling off a cliff. Definitely fell off a cliff here, maybe multiple cliffs, heading into Northwestern this week. And while I don't obviously think the season's over, and nobody thinks that, it's how we respond this week. We're still 5-2.
I said we're 5-2. I'm not spiraling yet.
It is one of those things that it hurts, and I can't get over it. I don't think a lot of people can get over the Minnesota thing yet. And given that was still a lot of the conversation this week, um, it is. It just it wasn't good, but we still have a game to play in the Northwestern Wildcats, and it probably is the best case scenario of an opponent you could face this week, out of anybody else that you could play in the Big Ten, because they do a lot of the same things in Minnesota, and the things that you just got your ass kicked on, you have a chance to redeem yourself and
Yep.
prove that what you just witnessed last Friday night is not actually how this team plays, prepares, handles a team like Minnesota. You have a chance to redeem yourself. So, and it's not like you're playing a better Minnesota team. You're playing someone that's probably in the same ballpark, maybe even a little less. So,
I thought you were just about ready to say it's best case scenario because they're the worst team in the Big Ten. I was about ready to I was about ready going on
No,
that.
they're the third team in the Big Ten right now, 7 games into the season. Fourth team? They're tied for third, I believe, but they're technically behind Oregon because of the overall record.
Now they haven't really played anybody that tough in the Big Ten yet, but the record
have
shows
we?
what's Michigan, but
We lost.
that's
They
that's
beat
about
Northwestern's at least beat Penn State. They got
yeah.
James Franklin fired.
Also got their ass kicked by Tulane, so we don't.
That's true.
Jury's still out on me for Northwestern, but I guess yeah. You said same exact thing what Minnesota's going to do.
They beat UCLA by 3. UCLA might be good.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just college football. It's teams that are not very good, and actually, I think the coaches, all the coaches, have said this at some point this week in their press conferences. Teams that don't play very good, or teams that aren't very good, can play good in weeks, and teams that are pretty good can have bad weeks. And so they're trying to frame it like we're a pretty good team and we just had a really bad week. You hope that's the case, and the things that we saw weren't reality. But at the same time, like we said, we had moments against Maryland, Michigan State that didn't look good. We obviously came out and won those games, so we can overshadow a little bit some of the problems that we saw glaringly against Minnesota, and hopefully improve on them. But it's college football for you. It's just, especially in today's world, it's parody. You gotta love it.
I mean, what was it last week? Like 9 top 25 teams lost. Something ridiculous.
Well, wait, here's the best example of it. Florida State kicked the shit out of Alabama week 1, and look where Florida State is now, 3-4, and Alabama's looking like one of the best teams in the nation now. So yeah, teams. We hope it's just like that. Teams can have a bad week.
They can.
Nah.
Or they could just be bad.
You said that, and this is completely derailing the conversation, but we have a recruit coming this week that is also has offers from Florida State, and I think it was NC State, maybe a defensive lineman for the next year's class. We don't have a defensive lineman in next year's class yet, so I'm like, well, that's just lovely.
Oh, that's good. Yep, that's not like you needed that position very hard.
It so frustrating. Like I said, be cutting it. Rule, be cutting edge. If you want to be cutting edge in something, be cutting edge on spending the most money on offensive and defensive lines, and make it known that's what we're doing. That would be a place where I would be very happy to be cutting edge on right now.
I mean, yeah. I'm trying to think. Isn't that the guy who decommitted from Penn State, or is that someone else?
I don't even know. So that was a side conversation. Press conferences this week. We'll get to Northwestern, I guess, and talk about the game a little bit. But the meets or the conversations this week definitely was on the press conferences. This is when it's fun. When you lose, you have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's great.
Right. Winning's not fun.
it makes this a lot more fun. Now, does the week make the week after more fun as a fan? No, but it gives you a lot more talking points.
So Monday, Rule spoke. Tuesday, Dana and John Butler spoke, and then some players, which is normal. And Monday, Rule comes out fiery, guns blazing, very. I mean, cut Sam McEwen off very early on, and it just explained some things, and called a lot of things out. Basically, just saying it's not acceptable, and then Tuesday followed up with Dana and John Butler and the players, but the coaches specifically took a lot of responsibility. All three of them did for Monday and Tuesday, almost to the point that it was like, I don't want to say too much, but it was a lot. He just kept saying it's on us, which I'll ask you guys, like, what does that mean to you? Like, because we've seen the opposite, right? We not just at Nebraska, but we've seen coaches call people out and then blame things on other people, other things that are going on. Like, it was a lot. I mean, there's a lot of responsibility that they're taking.
Well, I mean, not only were they taking the blame, I mean, Rule is like, our defense was vanilla. We weren't aggressive. I mean, he was like kind of calling out his own coaches as well. Like, he wasn't calling out I mean, he took a lot of blame, but
that you're right. It's a combination, because there was calling out, but then it'd be like, yeah, our defense is very vanilla, but that's on me. But that's on me as a head coach. That's on me. Like, it just was very, which it is. I agree with him, but he also, as we know, speaks his mind, and things came out and led to his press conference Monday led to some fun questions on Tuesday for the players and coaches. And so, yeah, I think, to me, it's a good thing that you're doing that. It's better to take responsibility, and it's an easy way of handling a lot of questions. Nope, yep, my fault. But when you do that over and over and over and over, you better start to show results and change from doing that.
I think some of the intention behind doing that is if you come out and be like, yeah, our players played terrible after that bad of a game. All of a sudden, you don't want to lose any of the confidence that you built up through the first 5 wins of the season.
Correct.
And if you come out and be like, yeah, our kids just got their asses kicked, which it was definitely not just the coach's fault. There was plenty of open field tackles missed out there. Like that's not, I'm not gonna say it was all schematic stuff. We made a lot of contact behind the line of scrimmage against Minnesota that resulted in 6, 7 yard gains. Um, but you don't want to come out and just be like, yeah, they played horrible. We had a good game plan. I mean, you wouldn't do that, but you just need to let them know, or at least make them think
Frost did
that
it.
Frost sure did. And how'd that work out? You just need to make them, you just don't want them to start thinking like, oh, we're not good enough. Those first 5 wins were flukes. This year's going to be another thing. I mean, last year we won 5 games and then we spiraled and lost the next five, right? Um, so you just want to prevent that. So you just don't want them to lose their confidence. And then if they're already having players only meetings, they don't know, they're not, your kids aren't out there, your athletes aren't thinking that this was the coach's fault. So you don't need to double down on that.
Here's what I picked up from all the press conferences is Rule. It sounded like Rule took Minnesota seriously to the point, and all these other coaches really didn't. And they took that responsibility. So it does sound like they didn't, which all week I've been trying to figure out why the hell were they not taking Minnesota seriously at all? Like, where did this confidence come from that that they were just going to walk over Minnesota and just be the better team, come out and not have to prepare for them as hard as they do any other team, like, or even harder. Minnesota has beat them 5 straight times coming in. Like, I do not see where all this confidence came from. What did Luke Lindenmeyer say? Something like, we were going to come out and, what did he say?
Put on a show.
Yeah, put on a show. Like, what is that?
Ready for a fight.
Yeah, and what did they expect Minnesota's going to do? This is what they always do against Nebraska. They always play hard, beat you up football. Like, but that's not a team you're going to put on a show against. You want to be more physical with them. So I don't get what their game plan going into the game was, and it sounded like no one was focused going into this game, and I just don't get it.
That's the question that got asked to the coaches and players on Tuesday from Rule's comments was Rule calling them out, saying there were certain assistant coaches and players that in a roundabout way overlooked or weren't getting prepared as well for Minnesota and weren't scared of them or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I no idea why or how. But again, I think that falls, all of that to me falls on culture, which then goes back to the head coach, and that's what Rule does. Like, what we're saying is kind of funny because he talks so much. He hits on all the areas. He's taking responsibility, but he also is calling people out. He is not blaming his assistant coaches because he didn't even take responsibility for it, but he is calling them out for everything that he saw. And then in turn on Tuesday, they all get asked about it. And I don't think anybody has an answer for why, besides it's just not acceptable. Like it, and that's what hurts probably is it doesn't make sense. There's zero part of it that as a competitor of anything in life that does not add up. And that's what happened. So on the flip side of that, this week, you would think that we would be ultra motivated and prepared and focused and everything to come out and beat Northwestern because of what happened last week. And the 5-1 ranked top 25. I throw in the rural Penn State drama. I don't know.
Is that
Like all
it,
that puts you on a pedestal a little bit, I guess, is what they're saying, which is wrong, given you're playing Minnesota, and that's not good that happened.
is that where? Because I've been trying to think all week where all this confidence came from. Is that what did it? They're just ranked like that. The rest out there are that good because they had the 25 ranking in front of them. I don't get it.
Not to mention, Rule used the word entitlement in there, which I think that goes along in this conversation as well. And I think it's also a valid, true point of when something good goes along with your name, you feel a little sense of we're pretty good. But that's on the coaches to control that narrative and make sure that your team, and they're college kids, right? They're college kids. So it's not super easy to do, but you got to find a way to rein that in, because I do think that came with it. I think that's a little bit part of it, and it's unfortunate, but that happens not just in Nebraska. It happens in a lot of places. That's why people in betting like to fade teams that are maybe not as good as what they think they are, because they think they're going to lay an egg sometime, and that's exactly what happened.
I'm sure a lot of people made a lot of money off Nebraska last week.
There actually were.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the podcasts out there that I listen to, a lot of them had Minnesota as their favorite bet.
Yeah.
So to that point, should we be surprised? Maybe not. I mean, from a national perspective, people, I mean, kind of saw this coming. They're like, what is the spread doing at 7.5? This is way too high. This is stupid. And of course, Minnesota took it to another level and won outright. But
Well, what are they saying this week with a spread of, I don't know what it is right now anymore.
It's the same. It's about the same thing again. So
7.5.
yeah.
well, for first couple of things is that the flip side of that is teams that come off of shell shock losses usually are a lot more focused and respond better.
Yeah.
And you know what, Nebraska, we've actually shown, especially under Rule. I'm just thinking like the Indiana game last year, where we came off the next week against Ohio State and looked very, very good. If not our best of the season against the team that won the national title. So I think that people think we're going to play well, and I hope they're right. I hope that's okay. If they do, that shows you it was more of a mindset problem and not a entire like program problem, like talent problem. Because part of it could just be we just don't have the players yet, and I felt like we're getting past that stage a little bit where people think we do. Now, when I say players, I'm talking about skill, offensive line, defensive line. That might still be a concern if we don't have the players. But at the same time, that's where a lot of the contact is happening, and the physicality and the toughness is in the trenches. So you hope that we can maybe improve on what's going on there, and it doesn't look like it did against Minnesota.
I think that's all I mean, it feels like coach talk. I agree with them taking their responsibility, but everyone knows that it's not just their responsibility. Like I said, with the players only meeting, they know the coaches have to say that because that's what they have to say. I don't
Yeah,
think
they have to say it, but
I don't know if anyone pressed hard enough on the coaches as far as like, well, then why did your game plan suck? Like Dana, why did you score a touchdown? John Butler, why did you give up another week of 20 plus points in the Big Ten?
yeah, see, I wish media would just press harder on. I like, not that we deserve or need an answer, but yeah, like that's on me. Okay, well then what are you doing to change? And there were a couple, I guess, tougher questions on, like, for example, the tackling.
Yeah.
Are things going to get changed? On the tackling was not very good. and Rule mentioned, well, we do a tackling circuit every day, right? Okay, well, then what that
Where
goes to
does
question is, what is it? What is, like, in Rule's head coaching experience and the players in the program? What is a tackling circuit? Like, what does that consist of? And is it actually like helping or hurting, right? What we're doing in games? We're never gonna know that from practice. But like, that makes you question. Okay, well, what, like, is it a physical? Is it a bloodbath tackling circuit where you're emphasizing and stressing complete physicality and all of that stuff? We don't know, but they say they're doing it. So what does that mean? I don't know.
it's I guess that the good bad part of it is coming out of a loss like this. It wasn't just one side of the ball that was bad. It was both sides. Like it was horrible all around. And I told you this earlier or yesterday. I told you this. Even coming out of it, it just seemed like Nebraska wasn't fired up at all. Like Minnesota was just the more fired up team coming out of the game or coming into the game. And I just again come back to this point. What are you preparing for all week besides Minnesota? Like, and I don't think Minnesota was that hard of a team to prepare for either. Like, they're going to do the same thing they do every year against Nebraska, try to run the ball down their throats and throw these short passes. I just don't. I just
Now,
don't.
Dak, I'm going to caveat that, because you did, going into Minnesota week last week, you didn't think Minnesota was the same old Minnesota team. You told me they throw it more, they're different, blah, 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 blah. Like, that perception was out there heading into the week that they weren't the same team because of whatever reason. So I completely agree. They were, and they had no reason not to be. But what you told me last week, that's probably in the back of their minds a little bit, and that's what's on the coaches' minds. And that unfortunately that shouldn't happen, but that I'm sure was there.
True, yeah. Maybe Nebraska prepared for Minnesota to throw the ball more, like, and Nebraska came out or Minnesota came out and completely flipped the game plan and ran the ball. So we just, which Nebraska has to prepare for every team now just to try to run the ball. Like that's what every team is going to do against Nebraska. I don't think teams are going to come out. I mean, it's proven by this point. You can run on Nebraska very, very easily. And I just don't see teams trying to, even USC, these teams that do love to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game. I just don't see teams trying that against Nebraska.
So John Butler said that a specific example of that was that long touchdown run that Darius Taylor had, was basically the exact same play that Justice Haynes from Michigan scored on. And he made the comment that well, every offensive coordinator does that. You watch the big plays, the explosive plays from previous games, and you, even if you don't have that play in, you're going to add it to your playbook or a variation of it because it worked. And basically was saying we did not have any counter or change from that Michigan game to stop that play. And it literally looked like a carbon copy of that play. It was hat to hat. One guy took a bad angle in the secondary and see ya. So you're right. As you're watching film and teams are going to have the blueprints out right now on how to beat Nebraska or move the ball against Nebraska or defend us. Like it's out there, and teams are going to keep doing it until we can prove we can stop it. Now we've won a couple of those games that they've done that stuff, but Minnesota probably was watching. They're like, oh my God, Michigan State's had 1 sack all year and they just had 5. Look what they did. And they took it to another level because Minnesota had better players probably than Michigan State did and ended with 9.
Yeah.
And And Rule said that Raiola avoided 5 sacks, so it could have been double-digit sacks easily.
I completely agree. He did. He did elude some things back in the pocket, like
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
better than he
even
did
just
last year.
that, yeah, even, just the pass where he's flicking it up over to Isaiah, I mean, inches
That
from being a sack.
is it. God, I mean, we'll dive in Northwestern, but they're
Dive into Northwestern,
Let's
Dak.
dive.
okay.
Dive in.
So here's the game plan for Northwestern, and if they don't do this, they're stupid. Throw on the Minnesota clips. You don't have to change any game plan. I'll do the same exact thing Minnesota did. Maybe same plays even. What I would do right now against Nebraska is you have to prove you can stop that. Until you can't, we're just gonna do the same thing over and over.
You'd
Run
be
the
a
ball.
great. You'd be a great head coach, Dak.
That's throw on the clips. Same exact thing. Like prove you can stop it.
What specifically are you referring to? What plays?
Run the ball down their throats. Dink and dunk short passes. That's it. That's all you got to do. Because
Wait for us
Nebraska
to
did
miss
not
the
prove
tackle.
what.
We'll just try to make it so that we wait for us to miss the tackle. I mean,
Yeah, make the mistakes. Like it's. And then on the defensive side too, do the same exact thing. Send the house every time. It's pretty easy to figure out what Nebraska can't do right now. And it's can't stop the run. Short passes work against them. And on the defensive or offensive defense side for Northwestern, send the house because they can't block anybody.
well, in case you're wondering, Northwestern is like third in the country in time of possession, so they definitely run the ball and do dink and dunk passes.
They love to run the ball.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle. Let's specifically target here instead of covering the whole game. I mean, I think to me, let's start on the offensive line for us and interesting question or conversation that I had this week with some people is like, can you how can you get your offensive line to be better? Like, or do they just suck? Right? Like, do they just suck this year and we got to deal with it? Or can we improve our offensive line this year? Number one, we're not making many personnel changes because I don't think we got it. The same guys are coming in to start next week, and that's what we have. And on top of that, Rocco Spindler's going to try play through an injury where it's
I can't even explain.
It's a pain tolerance thing, so we'll see how that goes. But Dana said it. We need him out there. He's one of our better offensive linemen, and he has been. So personnel-wise, no, there's probably not any changes we're going to see. I don't think so. I think a lot of it is communication and technique. The whole Raiola offensive line coach conversation and how you address that, I think is a real thing, but it's the elephant in the room because he's Dylan's uncle and how touchy you like that is not a good dynamic for Nebraska to have right now. So how does the offensive line get better? Well, to me, you have to there's technique with it, but I think a lot of it still comes down to getting a little bit tougher, a little bit more physical. No, we're not going to make any of these guys in the starting line NFL type offensive linemen. We can't do that in the last 5 games, but we can take everything that they currently do and have and make them a little bit better and try to incrementally improve it. But it's still going to probably be a weakness this week.
I was going to say before. Jeez. But before I forget what I was going to say, Raiola, and I'm talking about Dylan here, and this does not help the offensive line at all. I think because Minnesota blitz on 50% of their plays, around 50%. With him not being able to move, it's so much easier to send a blitz because he's not going to take off and run. So you just send a house, It's against these quarterbacks who can't move. So how you counter? You got to counter that with short passes, get the ball out quick. Like Minnesota just seemed like their plays were taking way too long to set up. You gotta because now you know teams are just gonna send a house because it's proven by this point he can't move. I don't give a rat's ass about all his weight loss and all this. So I can move this year. Yeah, well you can't, Raiola. Like lose some more weight, Tubby.
Hey, do we got to bring back out the annual Dylan Raiola weight check? Do we got to go back to that?
Hopefully he wasn't listening there, but yeah, I just called him Tubby. Yeah, he's lose some weight.
I mean, Northwestern has 11 sacks on the year through 7 games, and they have not played. I mean, Dak mentioned they haven't played great teams by any means. Tulane, Western Illinois, Oregon's good. UCLA when they were 0-4. Monroe, Penn State, Purdue. Um, Not a lot of elite offensive lines in there, and they only have 11 sacks. So hopefully this isn't like Minnesota where they also didn't have that many sacks and then and we're gonna game plan for more blitzes. I just think that this week they're probably gonna run more, personnel sets where the tight end's really just an additional lineman blocking out there because I mean Luke Lindemeyer's thick, but it's like we're just gonna keep him up. We're not gonna get beat again.
I mean, it's gonna suck if you have to do this because Lindenmeyer is a great pass catcher, but is it getting to the point where you still have to dump the tight end passing game and have him as a blocker?
A little bit. I mean, I think there's a lot of I mean, this is speaking from a offensive coordinator on a video game in myself, so take it for what it's worth. But there's like stuff you can do with your tight ends and running backs where they're blocking if they need to, and you for a couple counts, and then once they realize no blitz, and you release them, whatever route that is. So like I think there's stuff like that you can do with your tight end specifically to help counter teams that are going to be bringing the house every time. And I think just in general, Dana took blame as well on play calling, and they're right. Sacks aren't falling anywhere completely on one position or one person. It's everything. And I think if you wanted to put percentages on it, your offensive line's definitely the highest percentage. Don't get me wrong. And some people would move that bar differently to Dylan or whatever for not getting rid of it, or to play calling because there's no short passes. It's not set up to counter blitzes. So you can that's your opinion, but it's a combination of a lot of things. And so I do think this week it hopefully will be better. And like you mentioned, Austin, they haven't played too many like elite offensive lines or good offensive lines, so you wouldn't think it's too much different. But at the same time, we'll see how good coaches we are at improving and scheming around some of the things. Because you're right, Dak, they're going to try to do the same thing because it worked the last 2 or 3 games. One other specific thing on the offense here that was brought up and addressed specifically with Dana was the play calling, and play calling has been something that actually we have not really critiqued a lot, especially since Dana's been here, but even since Rule's been here. Frost, it was obviously a big conversation, and previous coaches as well. And it was asked, I think it was the first driver, one of the earlier drives, calling 3 pass plays, and Dana kind of snapped back at it and said, well, no, because 2 of those are RPOs. And here's the read, and he actually called out Isaiah Hunter on one of them pretty boldly, and just said he didn't get the correct read or call. So that one's on him. And this led me to think a lot, because Dana's also made comments before about Dylan's in charge of. It's his job to read the entire defense like an NFL quarterback. I can't remember how many weeks ago he said that, and he said a lot of coaches are talking to their quarterback all the way up to that 15-second mic cut that they do in the helmet. And he's like, we don't need to do that with Dylan because he's whatever reading the defense himself. And then so that's example A, and then example B is RPOs and what that entails for a quarterback who's still a sophomore and making a read based on what the defense is showing him and giving him the power then to either change the play or make that decision in an RPO. And my question, I guess, was, are we giving Dylan too much credit, too much control? When I say we, it is Dana of the offense right now, given how it's performed over the last 8-9 games since Dana's been here.
I'm gonna say no, primarily because our offense has actually done pretty well. Last week it was terrible. Our red zone offense is terrible. That's really what our issue is.
So what would you say, Austin, and I'll just even take out Minnesota? If you were to say our offense is a blank out of 10 since Dana's been here, or maybe just say this year, even this year, what would you say it is?
I would probably say 7 out of 10.
Dak?
Oh, I'd say a 6.
Dak gave the most disgusted look when Austin said 7 of like, what are you doing? And then he just goes one below it.
He scored 34, 38, 27, 59, 68, 20 this year. Last year we didn't even crack 20 more than like twice. And that was
Last year was so bad.
That was with Dana.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, at the end, yeah.
I'm just thinking back to how bad, it was before him, and
Minneapolis was bad. Minnesota game was terrible.
Yeah, it was awful.
Don't get me wrong, but I'd say overall, I mean, of the 6 games prior to that, it's like, well, it's actually pretty respectable.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say our offense is very average right now in my mind. I mean, I think it's average to me. I mean, putting up points is one thing, but I think there's a level of, again, I'm throwing those 2 games out completely. I just throw those out because I think you could do anything you wanted to. If you wanted to win that game 34-0, you could have. I throw those out, but I think that Dana is a solid offensive coordinator. My concern is that are we putting too? I think we're putting too much trust into Dylan in making decisions right now, and I get that adds an element to your offense that helps, like that can make it tougher to guard, a little more complex and everything. But I think that I'm not going to say completely simplify it and go back to step 1, but maybe take a little bit of that added element of thinking, of adjusting, and make it easier to manage as a quarterback. I think that will help a lot. I think Dana even mentioned Dylan's thought process when he's getting blitzed, right? Like there's a lot going through your head, especially on the road in a hostile environment like Minnesota was, a lot more than Maryland. There's a lot going on, and if you can help control that a little bit as a coach right now after that performance, I would do that. Now, being at home is going to help a lot because you're not going to have the extra stuff, and when a lot of it does sound like it's communication issues like that, but that's part of playing on the road. That everybody does it, and it's going to happen again twice, and maybe UCLA might not be as hostile, but Penn State sure as hell will be, maybe.
Yeah.
Do you throw Do you throw some of the offensive line struggles, or most of them, onto Dana too, though? Like how he hasn't figured out how to counter that problem.
I think what happened this last week is we weren't forced to necessarily overhaul or change some of our schematics because we won the game. And that's to me what has stung the most is that because we won Maryland and Michigan State, it's like our coaching staff, and this is kind of what Rule's talking about, overshadowed, overlooked. We have not corrected necessarily to the extent that we would have if we would have lost those games. And I think good coaching staffs, even in wins, can put on the exact same layer and level of preparation, of adjustments, of corrections in a win, a close win versus a close loss. That's what great and elite coaching staffs do. Is they like, for example, if you Signetti has a great press conference out there after they beat Oregon, and it was, but he basically, it was like they didn't even win the game because of the things that they need to work on. And that's, I think, what Rule's calling out specifically. And Dana, I think is a victim of that a little bit. And we clearly did not have an answer and a counter this week or this last week. Hopefully this week we do, because we lost. But I wish it wouldn't take a loss like that for it to happen, but it did. And that's where we're at.
I think we're spending a lot of time. I think we're spending a lot of time on the offense, and it feels like the defense is the problem. I know we gave up 9 sacks, but I really feel like and again, our offense performed poorly, but I think the season long, black sheep that no one really, I just don't think our defense is very good.
Are you really saying the whole defense or just defensive line?
The whole defense. I mean, our secondary is good. I'm not gonna say our secondary is bad. That'd be dumb because we're still number one in pass defense. But I mean, the secondary plays in run defense too. There was
Yeah.
plenty of Rex Guthrie missed tackles in the backfield. Not to call it Rex because Rex played, he's decent, but those are the ones that are coming to mind where it's like, man, we had him behind, we had him behind the line of scrimmage, but we just didn't finish the tackle. We give up 93% of red zone trips to opponents. We do not stop them when they get down to our side of the field.
Red zone's not, I mean, both sides have been bad. Yeah. And I think the concern going into the year was our defense would take a big step back after losing Tony White, who I still think is a pretty damn good defensive coordinator, take out of everything that's going on at Florida State. And John Butler, I don't know. I don't know how to get a read on the guy. I feel like from conversations leading into the year, like this defense is going to be a very high risk, high reward type of defense. We definitely aren't getting much of the reward right now. And Austin, to your point, like we just seem dull. And
yeah,
Yeah.
we are 100.
he mentioned his aggressive play calling. He and then where he took blame, he said our play calling wasn't aggressive enough. And I guess again, you go back to the why, like what happened, and the one run really early on really just stunted your play calling that bad. I guess I don't know how good of a coach he is as a defensive coordinator. I don't know. I mean, what would you rate him as a coach right now? I mean, our defense has been 4 or 5. Like
I was gonna say a 4.
Yeah, I guess we've given up. I mean, again, you throw out those 2 games, we have 17, 30, 27, 31, 24. And the fact that when our opponents get into the red zone, they score 93% of the times, and that's when your secondary, who's really good, can play a little bit tighter because the field's shorter. It's supposed to get not easier, but when the field's shorter, that's when it's supposed to help when you have a good secondary because now you can really clamp down on them and put pressure on the quarterback. I mean, we're like the worst team in like we're 122nd in the country in red zone defense.
Mhm.
That's atrocious, and we don't stop them. Yes, our pass defense is great, but if they're run the ball so they don't have to pass it, what's it matter? So they need to get a little more creative. You're right. They need to get more creative with how they're using their, you know, their secondary players if our offensive line isn't good enough to do it by themselves.
It's kind of like I said, using Lindenmeyer as a blocker. Is it time to start sending linebackers and other guys down on the line now?
I don't
Which
know if
they
you're
have
worried about
been.
those short passes though, that's not what you want to do because that's where
Yeah,
those players are going to be open.
that's another thing with Dana not adjusting to what Minnesota's doing on defense. Butler did not adjust at all. That was even worse. Adjust at all what Minnesota's doing on offense. He's like, I'm just gonna let that happen.
But what's super strange, and this is we've talked about the 3-3-5 throughout since we ran it. What was weird is early on, and this was the game plan. This was the scout going into the game. We had 3 down linemen consistently, and there's a lot of times we had 3 or 5 linebackers in the game, but from
Yeah.
initial contact and push, it was like we were hoping our 3 down linemen could plug, and then the 5 could fill. That wasn't working, and so then we moved the guys down, and that's when the short passes started happening. So I agree. Everything just seems slow in schematics and adjustments and what Butler does. Um, Again, I don't know anything about coaching a defense in football, but like you just you would hope that you know a little more and be able to adjust in the fly better. I don't know what that means for this game and going in. Like, again, the players are the players. We have what we have. So how can you work around that to improve the quality of your defense? Um, I do think a lot of it, like, I think we can be more creative with our secondary guys if that's our strength, and it surely has been. Again, make teams beat us through the air and not on the ground. Make Preston Stone for Northwestern this week. Make them throw it. Find a way to. I mean, if we lose a game on Saturday, make them have 350 to 400 yards in the air. Don't let them just ground and pound and do what they want to do, which control the clock, time of possession, all of that stuff that I think Rule kind of believes in too, right? Don't let them do that.
Yeah, it's I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't hear a word you just said there, Hunter. My volume got messed up, so I'm not gonna act like I heard what you said. I couldn't hear it. It was like you guys were playing mine. I was trying to read your lips, couldn't hear a word you said. So all right, Austin, you go.
Well, yes, I do think that you're right. Rule believes in the same things. Dak, I appreciate the candor. Just to
Yep.
be straight up.
Yeah, no, I'm serious. I don't know what happened to my volume there. For like the whole time Hunter was talking, it just went completely silent.
Um, but no, you're right. I think that we're getting beat in the ways Matt Rule wants to win. Another thing to point out for Northwestern as we still continue to try to evaluate the Northwestern game, we'll also intrinsically look at the value of Nebraska football as a whole within one loss of a Minnesota game that sent Hunter spiraling. Um, that Northwestern, they don't beat themselves. They are third in the country in penalty yards this year as well. So again, they haven't played anyone, but it just feels like it's going to be another. It feels like a Minnesota light kind of game where they haven't had a lot of sacks. They don't beat themselves. Wait for the other team to beat themselves, and Matt Rule. I was thinking about this the other day as because at what point does Matt? I don't how involved do you think Matt Rule is with defensive play calling?
Not really.
None.
Zero.
At what point do you get involved?
So Jackson, which we talked to him a lot, he made a great point on after the game on both ends of play calling as a head coach. What level are you involved with decision making on both sides of the ball? And I'm under the impression that I think football coaches, especially how our staff's structured, you're not involved in the play calling as much because I mean, he's more of a GM and overseeing it, and you're trusting your OC, you're trusting your DC. As a head coach, though, if things don't go well, right? Like,
I mean, I think if he is a true CEO type, when someone quits as a, vice president, that rolls up to you. You're the one that's got to figure out who's picking up the slack and help guide the next. And then again, John Butler's not been fired, and I don't know if he should. He should be fired. It's year one.
We
but play calling wise, to your point, and this is where it's hard in football. I agree on defense. There's an element of calling a play, and then when a team lines up, you are adjusting that play and tweaking it to as a part of your defensive schematics to what the offense has. Your alignment between alignment and assignment that gets adjusted. So yes, you can help call the plays, and this is an offense too. You can help call the plays, but when it comes to like actually designing how that works, you don't have much to say. That's on practice on how you're adjusting. It's not something as a head coach you can say, wait. Like, you don't have the time to do that because it's happening live. So now can you be more generic and say, hey, John, it's 2nd and 8. Blitz. Like,
right.
You can do that kind of stuff. Or
yes.
Hey, be more aggressive. You can do as a head coach.
Yeah, he can tell you be more aggressive. I want to see more blitzing.
Or hey, right now we need to put this personnel in, given the situation. That is your job, I think, as a head coach. On offense too, that is your job to make those. And if your coordinator is coming in and saying, "No, shut up, this is mine," well, then you got bigger issues with the staff. And you wonder if it's some of that happened with Tony White. I don't know, but yeah, it's part of it. I don't know.
I got a fair amount of concerns against Northwestern. I don't think our defense is good. I'm going to say it. I think we're bad in the red zone. We're terrible. We've been terrible on 3rd down the last couple of weeks. I know if you
about forcing turnovers.
Forcing turnovers. It's been a while.
Happened, yeah.
We got a bunch early on, and we have gone cold since.
Yeah, nothing close against Minnesota. Like,
and I think John made a great comment on his press conference. He said, "Here's how you force turnovers: by being just super aggressive and putting a hat to the ball on tackles, and 2, it's disrupting their quarterback, and which is and that goes with tackling, but also mentally, right? Throwing picks, and that's a good way of simplifying how to get turnovers. Obviously, we're not tackling well, and obviously, we're not getting much pressure schematically or physically on their quarterback. So that makes sense why we're not getting turnovers. That's your job, and he identified it on how to get those things better. So we do force turnovers.
Can we
go for it, Dak?
Can we all agree? By this point, there's 2 things that Nebraska has proven, and I don't think it's going to change at all this season. I don't know if you guys think it'll change. Nebraska can't stop the run, and the offensive line is horrendous.
Yeah, no.
And every team knows that now, and I think this far in the season, it's not going to change. Like,
you can mask it a little bit.
That's the coaching staff's job. I agree, they're not good. How can you coach it to be a little bit better so that
but they've known that for weeks and they haven't mastered it at all. It's like
that's what I'm saying. That's their job. If we don't fix that, we will end up going 6-6 or 7-5 because teams will continue to do it.
Yeah,
that is why these next few games are huge, and I think that's why Minnesota. Back to your point, that's why the Minnesota game hurts and scares you even more, and why I'm kind of maybe not overreacting, because you feel like these issues should have been addressed already and corrected, and it shouldn't have happened against Minnesota the way it did, but it did. And so then it becomes, well, maybe this staff, maybe where we're at right now as a program, as a culture, is not going in the direction we thought it would. And that's the hesitation that everybody goes, oh shit. And we're going to know like that in a weird way. This game is one of the biggest games for the program. I guess you could say that every week. You should be saying that every week.
Yeah.
As far as the direction it's going, like if things get restless Saturday, and especially if we find a way to lose this game, you want to talk about big time spiral. Like it could really fall off. Now you win this game and you prove to everyone, players, coaches included, that okay, no, that we lost focus for one game and we're back. Like it's okay. If you do that, okay, you're fine. But this game, it's huge in that aspect that if things come out and things don't look good and you can't correct, then you're going, oh shit, for the rest of the year. And to be honest, for Rule's future at Nebraska, in a game like this, because you're not going to have the excuse of, well, we were playing a top 25, a top 20 team. We were playing a team that just was better than us. You're not going to have that excuse. So that's why this game is so big. And it, again, not that it's the biggest game, but it could be one of the biggest games of Rule's time here in Nebraska because of all the implications for the future.
I mean, I don't think this shouldn't have happened, but maybe the coaching staff needed that Minnesota loss to actually see, hey, we got major problems on the O-line, D-line. Like maybe these wins were masking them. The coach was like, "Oh, everything's all right."
Well, that's what we've been saying. Yes, I mean you're repeating what we've said, but yes,
yeah. So if they don't come out this week with one fire, two a different blocking scheme, something to try to stop Northwestern. I just don't think there's any way this offensive line can stop these sacks. But have 3 or less sacks, and the D line find a way to stop the run, then the boo birds will come out, which you can boo this week now, Hunter.
Dak's gonna be happy if we have 6 sacks this week. That's great.
I might, because that's in their good talking point on Monday, but 3 or less sacks I'm calling for. Just give up 3 or less, for the love of God.
Boos will come out this week, whether they're actual boos or sarcastic boos, because Earl said it. I mean,
yeah,
they will. They'll be louder than ever. I really do think. The first, and you know when it's going to come out? It's going to be the first time Raiola takes a sack. I mean, it'll be a sack.
Yep.
Like it.
Yeah, it will. I mean, again, I guess, when you look at Northwestern as far as like the team that we're playing, they're decent. They're okay at everything. They're not, they're not lighting the world on fire in the passing game. They're not lighting the world on fire in the running game.
Which reminds you of who?
Yeah, right.
Minnesota.
They do average, what is it?
They have one good receiver, I think, is what I've been hearing.
They have one good receiver. Like I said, their third down percentage is 46%. Converting third down on offense, that's pretty freaking good. And we gave up 46% last week, and like for 43% last week, and 46% the week before that. And the week before that, we gave up 4 for 5 on 4th downs. Yeah,
like I said, we're not going to be hiding. You can't hide this week.
No,
it is going. We're going to see where we're at as a program.
They average 5 yards a carry.
Yeah, that's scary stat right there. They're gonna do the same thing Minnesota did, at least for the first half. Like it's gonna be just repeat. They're gonna try to. It's what I said. Just prove it till Nebraska can stop it.
They have had 10 fumbles this year, which I haven't really thought about because we haven't forced a fumble and we haven't really fumbled since Emmett Johnson's.
See, that's the other thing we forget. The Minnesota game, it's not like we killed ourselves turning the ball over.
No, we had some bad pass interference calls.
Yes,
that we
couple of penalties, or special teams where we've kind of struggled. That wasn't an issue again.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you,
wasn't
Mike
dumb
Eckler.
mistakes.
Thank you, Mike Eckler. Just
Yeah, but then you have that 98-yard punt. Thank you, Mike Eckler. And what do? Drive 98 yards down the field. Or not 98-yard punt, whatever the punt
Yes,
was.
they pin him on the 1 or pin him on the 1.5.
Yeah, thanks.
Or when we have a 50-yard punt return, what do? We punt the ball because we had a 4th and 47 or 3rd and whatever it was.
Maybe that's what we need. Maybe we need Mike Eckler. They pin him on the 1. John Butler gives up a 99-yard touchdown. Maybe Mike Eckler fist fights John Butler. Maybe that's what Nebraska needs.
yeah, we need it. We need assistant coaches to be fighting on the side.
Yeah. Mike Eckler would be the one to do it.
Okay, score predictions.
I've been chewing on. I just don't know how many points to give. I'm definitely not. I'm taking Northwestern to cover the spread. We're not winning by more than 7.5. Calling that right now. I think I'm gonna go 24-17 Nebraska. No, I'm going 2024 Nebraska. 24-20 Nebraska. There we go. Said that
You took exactly what I was gonna do. Okay, I gotta change it up then. I'll go. Jeez. 27-24 Nebraska. And that's not very confident right there. I'm not very confident in that prediction.
I'm gonna believe one last time, guys. I'm holding out hope. I'm gonna believe one last time. Nebraska 30-14.
Oh Jesus.
Hold out one
Wow.
last hope. I'm actually very terrified of the scenario of a close game and losing a close game, like back to like we play okay and play it well enough, like solve a lot of the things, but then it's a close game and we lose because of something in the last second. I'm terrified of that. But I'm gonna say we respond well. I think we've shown to do that. And I hope we do. If we don't, like I said, that the spiral is already kind of started. It will really take off if we end up losing this game, especially.
This
Find a way to win. Find a way to win. We can hang on here, and have some hope. But I mean, I think we're gonna respond well. I do. I hope we do.
Before we go, here's a quick thing. David Braun, the head coach at Northwestern, I have this tweet up. Year 3 for Matt Rule. There's a record 17-15, 9-13 in the Big Ten, 1-0 in bowl games. David Braun, Northwestern head coach, 17-15, 10-12 in the Big Ten, 1-0 in bowl games. Yeah.
I saw that last night too.
Are you on that tweet right now, Austin?
Am I on that tweet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scroll down the comment right below the Iowa fan saying, I've told you guys all you guys are Northwestern-like programs. So there you go.
That hurts.
Not wrong.
Not wrong. All right. 11 a.m. kick. Hey, also going to be a little chillier this week for the first time. It's football weather, though. I love it. Finally have to go to
I've heard it's too cold for one of our listeners, Larry.
finally got to go to a game with like something more than shorts and a t-shirt, which every game I've been to, that's been the attire. So it'll be a little colder, which I love. It's football weather. It's perfect.
Yeah, volleyball is still undefeated Big Ten play.
I saw we haven't lost a set since like September.
We haven't
17th.
lost a set in Big Ten play. Correct.
Like,
we haven't, not since Creighton game. So keep that up. Nebraska basketball preview coming up here. Good stuff.
Got the tickets bought to Sioux Falls.
Hey man, is it too early to get tickets to Indianapolis this year? That's where Final Four is.
Oh boy.
You can't get them to the Big Ten tournament because we will be there.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, geez. Putting your nuts on the table already. Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wait, yeah. Actually, every team makes it this year. Okay, yeah. Never mind.
Yeah.
I thought you were being sarcastic.
No, I forgot about that. Every team makes it now.
All right. Go Big Red.
GBR.
Go Big Red.
That's the brand we're selling. We boo our own hands, but the sun comes up over Memorial, stealing brick cold stories we adore. We take the bruise, we wear the blame, put that weight back on the frame. So light that fire, count us in. We'll show up at 11. Blue collar hearts, cracked but stubborn. Storm cloud part, we're still thundering. If pain's a toll, we'll pay again. Heads down, eyes up, show up at 11. Whispers in the weak, pride cut to the bone. Balls gotta fly quicker, hold the pocket on the tone. Raiola under pressure, still standing in the blaze. We clean the call, set the edge, change the plays. It's not talk, it's line on line. Fix the snap, protect the nine. From the booth to the bench to the huddle we climb. Account for every inch of time. Light that fire, count us in. We'll show up at 11. Blue collar hearts, cracked but stubborn. Storm clouds part, we're still thundering. If pays a toll, we'll pay again. Heads down, eyes up, show up at 11. GBR, beat on the rail, make it scar. GBR, raise up the bar where we are. Not broken, just bent, reset the arc. Turn the spark into a mark. Light that fire, count us in. We'll show up at 11. Let 'em bring weight, we'll carry 10. Line holds firm, show up at 11. From the first stand to the end. Heads down, eyes up, show up at 11.